Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Miss Sherry.
Hello.
Hello, how are you today?
Oh man, I'm on fire. I'm ready to share this next hour or 55 minutes with you and just, hopefully share with the audience some really awesome stuff.
Awesome, awesome. Well, welcome to Elevate Your Life. And this show is also aired on Spanglish World Networks on Zingo TV channels 250 and 251. And the Zingo TV app can be downloaded at zingotv.com. It is easy to download. And when you download that app, please make sure that you rate and leave us a comment. The Zingo TV app is also available on Google Chromecast, on Amazon Fire and Fire TV sticks, on Roku and Roku sticks, and on all 2016 smart TVs 2016 and forward, I should say. And again, my guest today is Sherry Gideons, and I am so happy to have her in the house because today we're going to be talking about how to manifest quantum potentialities. I got to get that word right. Potentialities. And so, before we get into talking about our topic for today, I want to tell you a little bit about our guest. And then, Sherry, after I tell our audience a little bit about you, I want you to tell us more about your story. So, with that in mind, Sherry stands out as I'm talking about a dynamic force in personal growth, bringing a high vibe approach to self and life mastery as a celebrated speaker, international best-selling author, and spiritual guide. Her podcast, The High Vibe Nation, you should check it out. I've checked it out and it is wonderful. It is truly a testament to her commitment to elevating others, serving as a platform for transformation, to her commitment to, again, an extraordinary life and living, if you will. And as a life mastery consultant and a licensed RSCP spiritual practitioner, she harnesses her expertise in fitness, wellness, and metaphysics to mentor individuals. Now, Sherry is such a dynamic person, and we met a couple of years ago at a millionaire mastermind, or should I say billionaire mastermind. We were at a billionaire's house. And what's so interesting about that is that I had heard Sherry speaking some years ago, and I didn't know her, and I didn't connect the dots at that mastermind until just this year. And so we were meant, we were definitely meant to meet each other. And I want you to know that her career, spanning over 3 decades, boasts top honors in the fitness industry and a profound journey from professional athlete to guiding light in holistic health. Health and wellness, I should say. So, this part is so interesting to me. And Sherry, I do want you to talk to us more about this. So, your life story is marked by resilience, overcoming two near death experiences with a defiant spirit and emerging with a deeper spiritual insight. And I want to hear about that. And I know our audience wants to hear about that too. And let me tell you, viewers, she also embodies the universal principles she advocates, tuning or turning, I should say, potential defeat into a life full of health and vigor. Today, Sherry is not just surviving. She is truly, truly surviving. She is not just surviving, she's truly, truly thriving. Yes, she is thriving. And she is fully healed and she is dedicated to guiding others on how to quantum leap and realize their fullest, I said again, fullest potential. And that's why we have her on this show today. And so, Sherry, I want you to take it away because I do want to hear about your story. So please.
Yeah, so I just want to start out by saying I am so honored to be here with you, Dr. Michelle. I mean, you're such a light yourself, and I'm always a believer that you're just merely a mirror of each other. And so I want you to know that I'm very, very grateful to be here with you sharing today. And that being said, really my journey of what I like to call seeking from a place of wanting to know why I was here, what my purposes were. I was in a time of my life, I was really involved in the beginning of pro bodybuilding and the fitness industry when women got their start in the early 80s. And I was trying to meet up to a level of perfection because at that time I believed that if I could reach perfection, that the world would love and accept me. I mean, at the end of the day, we all want love and acceptance. And what I didn't realize at the time, that these programs that were running in me, or these beliefs, I had carried from my parents and, from the people that I had surrounded myself with throughout my life. So fast forward to 1997, I went through a period where I was being told in the industry that I wasn't good enough, that I needed to be better. And every time I would reach up to that idea of better that I was told I needed to be at, there was always someone else's opinion of why I was still not good enough, why I wasn't better, what I needed to do to change that. And what would I do? Try to meet up to everybody else's expectations and change that. And what happened is I got to a point in my own self-concept where I fully believed that I could no longer eat. Now, meanwhile, and I say this very honestly, meanwhile, I followed the path of the industry, meaning trying to reach up to the idea of muscle. And so, yes, I did use steroids and I did use other sports enhancement drugs. And in that moment that I like to call the seeking moment, the begging moment, the moment when I was on one level begging to die and on another level begging to be saved. I got to that place where I said, you know what? I am no longer willing to live like this. Now, meanwhile, I am 78 pounds, can't even see it. And I'm starting to have spiritual experiences in these asking of questions that I started to begin to ask, why am I here? What am I meant to do? Is life really only meant to be lived with suffering and pain and setback and challenge? When the idea is love, the idea is, good and greater good. And so I ended up having a massive heart attack. And it was from that I was released from the body and I was united with everything. When we talk about leaving the body and going to the other side, that's what happened to me. I became one with all that there is. I was the birds, the trees, the flowers, the air that we breathe. I was embodied in what we like to call this idea of God, what now has expanded into the universe, our higher power, infinite intelligence. But it was in that experience that I was shown a very, very deep calling that I came here to fulfill. And that is, one, I was shown everything over, why I'm here, and all of the things that I had given to other people, good and bad, while I was in the body. I got to view that through those people as if I was within their feelings and seeing through their eyes. And then I was, now mind you, I'm surrounded by archangels, ascended masters, God, Jesus, many, my soul guides, many spirits that had lived with me, and they're all giving me love beyond human understanding. And I was told that I was being shown that which I had not yet finished. And I was shown the many potential purposes that I came for in this lifetime from the me that had already fulfilled those purposes in another dimension. And while that may seem very deep, it's what happened. I mean, I'm not here to convince people of what happened to me. I'm here to deliver a message through me that for those of you who have been seeking and questioning and, really ready within yourselves to step up to that greatness of you, then my message is for you. But my message really, at the end of the day, if you know me, it's for everyone, because I don't have anything you don't have yourself. But I could be going on and on about the story, and the thing I want to emphasize is that I was told that I never had to worry, that all the
Mm,
right people would show up at the right moment to help me move forward. That if you want to get really deep, that we have all contracted with each other, good and bad, to show up in each other's moments on purpose. And
mm,
and I was given the choice to come back. I was given the choice to stay or to come back and fulfill that which I had not yet finished. And obviously, I chose to come back. But the last thing that was said to me as I watched myself going back into my dead body was, and you must help the world to understand that they must give of themselves freely without expecting. And love is all there is. And so the last 27 years has been a journey of an ever expanding spiral of me reaching up to a greater, grander idea of
mm,
myself. It was a willingness and a desire, despite appearances, to be that version of me, that unlimited, kind, caring individual that I chose to come to be. And
mm.
so, what I really want to share with all of you today is just different tools and solutions and ways to be that hopefully will help each of you. So,
Whew, that was so empowering just hearing you tell your story. I got so many God bumps throughout listening to your story. So, so powerful. And I do want to say something resonated with me so deeply that I've shared this with other people. As you talk today, it just put me in the mind space. So I have my firstborn son, he already transitioned this life. And his life was unfortunately snatched from him at a very young age. And the day that it all occurred, that morning, I had woke up with him deeply on my mind, which I don't remember any other morning when I woke up like that. And I looked at pictures of us. And of course, I start judging myself in the
mhm.
pictures. We are our own worst critic. So I end up closing the photo album. And at the time, I just felt a love just radiating throughout my room, throughout my house. And I didn't understand it. I just know it was a love that I personally don't know how to express to anyone because I felt it so deeply within the fibers of my bones, within the fibers of my body, and I didn't understand it. And it was a glorious day. The sun was out. It was such a beautiful day, birds chirping, and I remember all of that, but the love, the feeling of love was so strong. And then later on that day, I got the phone call that my son was no longer alive. And I remember that day so vividly because of the love that I felt in my house and surrounding me. And so all I have said over the years is that that was my son's spirit connecting with mine to let me know that he loves me. And so as you were talking, it just made me believe that he had a choice to either stay on the other side or come back, and he chose to stay. And at the same time, he wanted me to know as his mother that he loved me. And so thank you for sharing that story because it just brought up so much in me. And like I said, I've gotten God bumps over and over and over. And so thank you, thank you, thank you. I do have a number of questions that I want to ask you regarding our topic. And so I just want to go ahead and dive into the questions unless you have anything else that you would like to add to your story. Again, thank you for being so open and transparent to share it with the world. And I understand that you are on a mission to share it with the world because that's what you were commissioned to do. So, is there anything else before I ask you my next question?
Yeah, no, it's, really just all about understanding that we are infinite, unlimited individuals, and every single one of us is and has access to this greater, grander way of living. And that's what I'm hoping we'll get into here with the show, and that I can share tools and examples that will help each of you.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. And my first question, well, before I ask that question, okay, viewers, I want you to get your paper and get you a pen or a pencil because you want to be able to take notes. This information can truly transform your life. And so, yes, you can go back and look at the replay. We encourage you to do that and share this out with others. Make sure, though, that you have your own paper and pen or pencil to take copious notes. And with that in mind, okay, Sherry, I'm going to go ahead and just jump into it. And hopefully, our viewers did what I just said. I'm stalling a little bit so I can go run and get that piece of paper. And what I want to tell you guys is what you write, you invite. So you want to write it down. Don't just get your phone so you can type it in. Yes, write it down. And I can ask Sherry later, why does that work? What you write, you invite. So, what the first question I want to talk about the concept of manifesting quantum potentiality. So, my question to you is what is the concept of manifesting quantum potentialities and how does it differ from traditional manifestation process, the traditional process, if you will?
Yeah, so really, the quantum, when I talk about the quantum is unlimited, it's infinite. And so when we understand that we are all energy, that everything vibrates, everything has a vibration, and depending on how much attention, energy, and focus we give that emotional feeling within ourselves, that extends out into a frequency that is very much like an antenna, and it bounces off of a satellite out in the universe. And so it's rooted in the idea, basically, that our thoughts and beliefs have the power to influence and shape our reality. And so really the concept of quantum potentialities, it draws on principles. When we understand that there's principles of quantum physics and there is these laws of the universe, or what we can also call laws of nature, that are
Mm.
just like, why do birds fly north in the winter? It's the same. Why do leaves fall off of the trees at a certain time of the year? These laws of nature have always been in existence. And so when we talk about it, what's the difference between traditional manifestation? Well, see, those practices, they incorporate principles where it a lot of times has only to do with what I like to call visualization. And we're not really looking at the oneness and the unity in shaping our reality. Because if we are basically one with everything that exists, that means there's no separation whatsoever between us and anyone like Michelle and myself. There's no separation between any of us. And so what differs really from traditional manifestation is the deeper exploration of the quantum field and that interconnectedness that I was just talking about to all things. But here's the real rub. The real rub is it happens in the present moment. The present moment is all that there is. And so when we begin to understand this, we can use these practices like focusing on, the techniques of visualization and affirmations and understanding our goals and more about how the emotions work. And then we begin to really manifest these quantum potentialities in a much quicker way. It doesn't have to be hard. And that's really the difference. It's about not waiting in a state of mind, but being in a state of mind through the moments of moments throughout today.
So powerful. Whew, so powerful, so powerful, so powerful. Listen, that was so deep the way you explained that. It just requires a new level of thinking. We can't think in the old ways if we really want to make quantum leaps. And so powerful. So I'm so happy we have you here to break this down for us so we can get a true understanding. So I want to move to, unless you have anything else that you want to add to that answer, I do want to move to another question, but go ahead if you have anything you want to add to that answer.
Yeah, I just, for a second, just want to point out that part of the struggle when we talk about the present moment is there's the resistance that people have around what I like to call futurizing. So, meaning they're so busy wanting to futurize something that hasn't happened yet that that is what actually keeps pushing away what it is you really want. And we'll talk more about that, but really I want to solidify how important it is to start understanding that the present moment is all that there is.
Hmm. Yes. 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 So good. So good. So good. Let's move to talking about the scientific principles versus the metaphysical concepts. And my question centered around that: are there any scientific principles supporting the idea of manifesting quantum potentialities, or is it more rooted in metaphysical and spiritual concepts?
You know, when it comes to science, I mean, obviously everything wants to be dataized and really at the end of the day, everything is spiritual. I mean, these concepts are primarily rooted in metaphysical and spiritual concepts, but the more that you open yourself up, as I said earlier, in the present moment,
Mhm.
the more that these things are going to start to reveal themselves to you from the simple things, like, for example, you're driving down the road and a street sign speaks to you and gives you the exact answers that you're seeking, or Michelle or myself show up in the moment like we are right here on this podcast, and we're saying exactly what you've wanted to hear. The more that each of you really clearly defines what it is you want and then allows yourself to really touch into those feelings from the place that you would feel as if that were already so in the present moment. These, what we would call synchronicity or coincidences, become no longer coincidences. They're every day, every moment happenings. So, yes, back to your question, Michelle. Yes, it's very spiritual and metaphysical, but this is the Great Awakening. People are ready for this.
Yes. And again, I just go back to, you got to be willing to apply new thinking to really understand this. And, before I truly understood what quantum leaping or quantum manifestation was, things would happen to me all the time that would just collapse time, and it would just happen like that. I could think it, and within a matter of time it happened. And again, the people, the places, and the circumstances were drawn to me to allow it to happen, and I bypassed so many steps in the process that your average person would have to go through because of just again, how I was thinking and how I just attracted the things to me. Because when you start thinking at a new level, that's when you're going to attract at that level. And so that's why I keep going back to, this is about thinking at a totally different level. This is not thinking about the like you said, people think it has to be hard,
Yeah.
whereas we've been taught that things have to be hard. But when you get into that new level of thinking, It's not really hard. It's very easy. And I'm a testament to that because of how my life has played out up through this very moment. And so, so my next question is really the power of intention in
Mhm.
the quantum realm. And how does the power of intention connect with the quantum realm, if you will?
Yeah, so intention is really rooted in belief. And it's those intentions that have the potential really to influence and shape the outcomes of every area of our life. So those show up from the quantum field. And remember, I said earlier, the quantum field is really about infinite, it's about unlimited potentials. And
Yes.
so if we begin, I always like to talk about and use the example of going to the gym, and you set the intention today that you're going to start on what I like to call a self improvement journey. And
Mhm.
so, you know, in that self improvement journey today, you're going to go to the gym. You've made that commitment. And you get to the gym and you're working out and you feel really good. And then you go to the next moment, you leave the gym and you go home and you decide you're going to eat healthy. But let's say you mess up on your, the food part of your intention. What do most people do? Most people react and respond from the feelings, from the energy, from the emotions that are attached to a previous experience.
Mhm.
Maybe last year when you attempted to do this. And they do what? That's I use resistance as the best way to describe. They basically create more of that. They create
Yeah.
more resistance. Maybe your mindset saying, oh man, I screwed up again, or I blew it again, instead of going back to what is your intention. Remember, your intention has the power to shape your outcome in an unlimited potential way. And so, as
Yes.
a result of that, in that present moment, that you recognize that you went into a habit of knocking yourself or beating yourself up or telling yourself there's something wrong,
Yes.
that emotional feeling that you're feeling in that present moment is sending a signal out into the quantum field of possibilities. And it's bringing back into your experience what you are. Because what you
Mm.
give, you receive. What you put out, you pull back. And this is where, going back to the idea of the gym, we know that as we keep going back, we do
Mm.
what? We get stronger and stronger. We grow muscle
Well, yes.
and we continue to reach our goals. And so, as I said earlier, the power of intention, it really involves strong emotions and beliefs. And it's important to really learn to live in this present moment. I'm going to be talking a lot about the present moment because not only am I speaking from experience, but I had to walk in those shoes myself on my own life mastery journey in
Mhm.
order to create what I have in my life today, and be sitting here with most of you saying to you that this all can be simple. It is
Mhm.
actually really simple, but it's really our habits and our programs that continue to have power over us instead of us taking our power back and becoming the master of our lives and directing our lives in a way with what we really want versus what we don't want.
Exactly, exactly. Wow, that was so good, so rich. And it just made me really think about when we fall short and we recognize that, that's the time to really celebrate that we had the awareness. Okay, I fell off, but like you said, going back to the intention, but my intention is this. So you get back up and you start all over again in that moment. You don't wait. You don't just say, I didn't meet the goal or I fell short. And so then you just throw it away, and that's the best way I know how to say that, or you just abort what you had as an intention because you didn't follow through that particular day. That was just that moment. I like to use the words up until now and yet.
Yep.
So yeah, I maybe I didn't I fell short that day, but that's okay. And I recognized it. I bust myself. And then I always say, celebrate the fact that you had the awareness so that when you fall off again, because you will, it's inevitable that you will, you can have that awareness again so you can get back on track. This may sound so bizarre. I just saw myself when I was a child. Now I'm dating myself because when I first learned how to roller skate, right? I had these skates called steelies. If anybody
Yep.
knows the steely skates. And I could see myself in the neighborhood. We lived on a cul-de-sac. And I wanted to learn how to skate so bad. So I would get on those stillies and I would go around, go around, go around. And then I would fall and bust my butt, if you will. But it didn't stop me because my intention was to learn how to skate. So I would get back up and I would start it all over again. And eventually I learned how to skate. And I love skating. And that's with anything. When you start out, it's clumsy, you
Mhm.
fall. The trick is to, again, like you said, Sherry, remember the intention and you just get back up and you just keep moving with that intention in mind. And so thank you for that. Is there anything else that you want to add to that response or to your answer before I move to the next question?
Well, there's something that you said that made me think of something I was thinking about recently, and first of all, you dated me too, sister. So thank you for no, I'm a believer that I'm going to be over the top and manifesting at a very, very childlike place at 60 years old. So, girlfriend, I love when you talk like that. But no, what came to mind was the idea of the planting of the seed. So an intention is just like a planting of the seed. But what a lot of people are unconscious that they do is they'll plant the seeds, or I use prayer, for example. They'll pray and pray and pray and pray for something that they want that they don't have yet. And that's another way that limits the manifestations or your dreams or your goals, because you're being in the present moment from a place that you don't have it yet. And so if you use a seed, for example, and you've planted that seed and you've put dirt over that seed and you're watering that seed, then that seed is going to bear fruit really quickly. But if you're over here every single day praying again from something you don't have yet, you're ripping that seed up every single day, not realizing you have to start over again every single day. So, really, the idea is understanding that if this is an infinite universe, once you've planted the seed, it's already done. You just need to get out of the way and allow.
Mhm. Yes, so good, so good. Stay in the flow. I liken that to, when you have that water hose and you're running your water and all of a sudden the flow stops. Somewhere there's a kink, and that kink, I liken it to your thought process, your negative thoughts. You kinked up the flow. And so you got to unkink it with moving your thought level again, thinking at a new level to get that flow going again. That's so good. I love the planning. And it made me think about the bamboo tree. Now, we won't go into that unless you want to
Yep.
go into it, but I encourage our viewers to go look up how the bamboo tree grows. If you don't know, you're going to be shocked at what you understand, unless you want to break it down for them before I move to my next question,
No,
Sherry.
you go ahead and go to your next question.
Okay, okay, good, good, good. So, I was talking about awareness, but I do want to get into the awareness. Let me just ask first about the connection between your consciousness and quantum manifestation. And is there a connection between the two?
Yeah. So, first of all, everything is consciousness.
Mhm.
And so we go back to the whole idea of focused intentions, the same exact thing. You know, there's a energy that's taking place in every moment of today, and it's aligned with your state of being, your state of mind, your emotional connection to who you are and what it is you really want. But and as that grows, you know, going back to awareness, like you're talking about, first of all, you can't change what you're not aware of.
Yes, yes,
And it's
yes,
in the development of, and I'm, like I said, I'm going to keep going back to the present moment. It's your awareness in the present moment that is continually moving you forward towards, how are you going to react? How are you going to
mhm,
behave? What kind of habits are being shown to you in the present moment within your consciousness, revealing to you what I like to say is, you're ready for it. It's
mhm.
there for you to reveal to you what's either in alignment or out of alignment with your greatest self, your highest self. And so as that consciousness is expanding and evolving, it's in that present moment that we become the observers
Yes.
without emotional attachment.
Mm.
And going back to that idea of building the muscle, when we in that moment observe and recognize a behavior, I like to say it's almost like, here's the part of you at the higher state on this shoulder, and here's the part of you that wants to keep slipping down to that unconscious state of mind. That part of you that wants to play the victim, or that life is being done to you, or people are doing things to you, or blame or judgment or whatever. But it's in that moment that you, one, become the observer from a state of consciousness and a state of awareness,
Yes.
that you can change anything, that you can
Yeah.
shift anything, that you can be in a state of mindfulness, present, owning your power. And I always say to that part of myself, thank you very much. Thank you for revealing to me a part of myself that's ready to be released, that's ready to be surrendered, that's ready to be healed and resolved. And then what I do is I go back and I declare who I really am. What I really am is a mighty moving power, aligned and connected with this great magnificence within me. That this part of me that is whole, perfect, and complete, that is a bright, shining light, that is one with God, the universe, my higher power, and believes and has faith and trusts that the how is none of my business. That I step into that greater expansion by feeling that feeling that I feel from that place, that I know this is who I am. And I allow it from that place of awareness, from that place of consciousness.
Woo, that was so rich and so powerful. You said so many things. Listen, I'm going to go back and look at this over and over because as you were talking, I wanted to take my notes, but I just wanted to stay present so I could just hear everything that you said, which was so, so good and so, so powerful. And so I'm going to leave it there and savor everything you said because it was so much richness there. And I do want to add that and you can add to this or expound on it if you will, but I believe that there are two really energies in the world, and those energies are either contracting us where we feel contracted, or they're expanding us where we feel expanded. And I believe that when you feel expanded, you're moving in the right direction. When you're feeling contracted, yes, you need to understand why. And I love your analogy about the shoulder, and I'll just say your the expansion, the contraction, revealing itself to you wherever you are in that process so you can become more aware and thanking the feeling, the thought or whatever, and then determining is that something you need to release or is it something that you need to embrace? And I just love that. And so if you want to add anything else to that, please do. Otherwise, I'll move on to my next question.
Yeah, at the end of the day, really, it's just about anchoring yourself. I mean, we're all alchemists. And that is, like I said, it's a continual process of being mindful in the moment and anchoring ourselves in that higher vibration of joy and happiness and freedom of movement and ease and grace. I mean, if our habit is to behave and be from a place of separation and lack and limitation, then, like I said earlier, we're going to continue to draw more of that into our lives. And so, as Michelle has continued to speak about awareness, awareness is a place where we can change anything in the
Mhm.
present moment.
Yeah, so good, so good, so good. So, how does awareness impact the outcome we manifest? I think we touched on it, but let's talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah. So, I mean, it goes back to that idea of you can't change what you're not aware of. And
Mhm.
so, in that, it's also about recognizing setbacks and obstacles and challenges. And as I was saying a moment ago, is responding with resilience, responding with adaptability in a different way than those old limitations and those old setbacks that were what are called habits or paradigms, a multitude of habits that we just keep giving our power away to. And so it's in that present moment that we utilize different alternatives and different routes. And I like to say we stop living from a minimum standard and we raise our tolerance, as I said
Yes.
earlier, our resilience and our adaptability.
Oh, so good, so good. It brings me to the fact that this morning, you and I trying to connect to do this live, we had some challenges. But did we let that stop us? No. We laughed about it. That's where you have that flexibility, adaptability. You're resilient. And like you said, building that tolerance to me is also the same thing as building that
Mhm.
muscle, because
Yeah.
as you go higher in this life, your thinking has to really change. And I know that I keep beating that, to I don't want to say no, that you can never beat that to death, okay? Because it is so true that with new levels there comes new thinking, and the higher you climb, the more you need to expand your awareness and your thought processes, if you will. That's the best way I know how to say that. And then as I heard you respond to that question, it brought me to choices. We
Mhm.
have a choice every single day. We'll have the thought, yes, it'll evoke a feeling, and then we need to choose, okay, how will we move forward based on that feeling? Because as we know, what you do will cause you to have whatever outcome or results based on your actions. And so that was so good to me. And I just wanted to add those few little nuggets there.
Yeah.
So let's get into, because we are coming up on time, so let's get into the techniques for tapping into quantum manifestation. Are there specific techniques or exercises that individuals can use to tap into the manifestation process?
Yeah, so I first want to clearly break down the idea of quantum potentialities from a place where we would identify what I like to call holographic creation. So, the difference between our traditional manifestation or what I would call visualization is that holographic creation, it happens in the present moment. So, with what we would call traditional visualization techniques, we're told to go and use our imagination and to think of a goal or a desire that we have or something we want. And we don't realize that when we're doing that, we're futurizing. Because a lot of people are and a lot of you may already know this, but there are a lot of people who still don't understand how to manifest and create from what we like to say is a quantum level. And that happens when you're only being in the present moment. So and you still do use visualization, but you're mindfully aware of the feeling that you're projecting out through the present moments of today. And so going back to the idea of what are the examples, you got to be clear. First of all, you cannot create what you really want if you're not clear and specific. Michelle's daughter has a vision board product that she's created, and it's pretty powerful. And vision boards work very well for people because you can visualize it, you can see it in real time. A lot of people place it in a specific area of their homes, or whatever works for you, your special place. But seeing that visually causes feelings to stir up within you. Now, holographic creation or quantum potentiality manifestation happens when you are increasing the feeling, because at the end of the day, it's an infinite universe. And that means that it's immutable, meaning the only thing that really matters is the feeling that you're giving out. And if you think about it, and you're thinking a thought, and you give emotion to that thought, you cannot not feel something when you think of thought. It's the emotion that you're giving out that is like a spark. And if that spark is only slightly, what do I want to say, burning, it's only giving out a small spark. But as you give more feeling, more joy, more enthusiasm, what I like to call a higher emotional feeling on the emotional scale, and that's joy, love, enthusiasm, laughter, peace, fun, play, freedom. And you're feeling from that place through the present moments of today, so clear and so specific with what it is you really want. Every 17 seconds that you're feeling that higher feeling, it's growing from a vibration into a frequency. And so think of a radio dial on the car. When you turn it to the station you want to listen to, that's a clear channel. That means that radio antenna is bouncing off a satellite out in the universe, and it's bringing back to you what? The clear station on the radio. The same thing works for each of you, is when you're feeling this feeling from the place you would feel as if your dream and your goal and your specific awareness of what it is you want, it's growing into a frequency. And that frequency is going to cause more to show up in your life. Now, I like to use another example of the heart. Heart math has revealed to all of us the power that takes place when we're coming from our heart. When we're aligned and coherent and building that resiliency we've been talking about in our heart, it's putting out a frequency that is 60 times more powerful than your brain. And it is putting out what I like to say 4,000 neurites of energy more powerful. And so the more that we build that through breath, here's another example, breathing deeply from the base root of what we would call our chakra, pulling that energy all the way up into the heart space, holding it for 4 counts, and then releasing that. What's happening is we're increasing that coherence in the heart. And get this, the more that we do that, guess what? Our manifestations begin to show up with ease and grace. I like to call it manna falling from heaven.
Yes.
Okay. So why not make
Yes.
it simple, you guys? I mean, here's the thing. If your belief is rooted in hard, it's got to be hard, money doesn't grow on trees, that things don't come easily, then that's what you're going to get every single time. But if you open yourself up to this expansion and anchor yourself in the gift that you are, you're going to draw back to you ease and grace and good and greater good, and you all deserve it.
Yes. Oh, so good. So good. So good. So, one thing I heard you say was clarity. It got
Yes.
to be clear. And then the other thing you talked about, the feeling, getting into the feeling, and you express joy, love, all of those feelings that will raise your vibration. And then talking about the brain, the heart brain or brain heart coherence, and
Yes.
knowing that the heart emits more frequency than even our brain, and just getting into breathing into that, doing the breath work around that. And then one other thing that you talked about, and I like to call it the boomerang effect, what you're emitting, that's what's going to come back to you. And one thing that I really want to impress upon is about the feeling. I
Mhm.
remember that I had a desire to buy my first home because I had two small kids at the time. Listen, my youngest is 38, okay? She may have a feeling about me telling her age. But at any rate, when they were small kids, I wanted to purchase a home. And all I could do was feel a home. I could just feel a home. I could taste it. And I remember telling one of my friends, I'm buying me a house. I'm buying me a house. I can just feel it. I can feel it. I can taste it. And the feeling was so strong. I didn't know how that was going to happen. I wasn't out looking for a house. None of the above. I did tell someone else that I wanted to purchase a home. And as the feeling grew, one day the individual called me and said, Hey, I know you're looking to buy a home. I found one. I was going to buy it for myself, but I thought about you. And thus I purchased that home. And it was all based on just a feeling. And it came down to also a knowing. I was so confident and I had the expectation that I am going to buy me a house. And at the time, I was only 21 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. I got started young. Okay.
Wow. Love
And
it.
so that happened for me as many things have. I've gotten the hunches, and I'll get the hunch or I'll get the nudge to go a certain way or call a person or what have you. And I'll follow those hunches or those nudges and they pay off. And so in terms of just again collapsing time, when you get those hunches or those nudges, then you need to follow them. And if it's something that seems like it's not resourceful, Sherry, I want to ask you, what is a method that one can utilize if that hunch or nudge? I didn't get is that. Could you try again? Can you that Siri? That was my Siri. She thought I said Siri instead of Sherry. But at any rate, so I'll give you a quick example. If it's something that's not favorable, even though I have come to learn that if something is happening, it's happening for our higher good. And so we need to look for the lesson and the gift in it. When we get those hunches or nudges that are saying, okay, there's danger, if you will, because I've gotten those too, and I didn't necessarily pay attention to them and encounter that. What can one do to counteract if the nudge or hunch is really like a warning sign?
Yeah. So, my greatest teacher taught me, which was Michael Beckwith. He was my very first mentor. And he said the quality of questions you ask yourself determines the quality of life you live. And so, if we're once again energetic beings and there is no separation between us and God, we can ask any question in the moment, whatever it is. And so I like to ask, what am I feeling right now? Where is it in my body? Is it fear? Is it worry? Is it, why is what is showing up being, what is being revealed and what is it saying to me? And if you get really still the answer will show up, just as we've been talking about. It will be delivered to you through someone, through a book, through, through a street sign. I mean, this is an infinite universe. There's every way possible for God to speak to you through you. And so I wanted to mention from the previous topic, one of the things is that you want to stay in the present moment as much as possible. So when sometimes there is these, this danger or these fears or these hunches, align with gratitude. You know,
Mm.
go back to that feeling of gratitude. I mean, I say daily, part of my routine is establishing gratitude, embracing gratitude, staying as much in the present moment as I can. And because I have practiced and built the muscle of what we've been talking about here, I avoid excessive futurizing, because I
Yeah.
realize when I futurize, guess what it does? It pushes what I really want away from me. I
Yes.
stopped worrying about outcomes. I started focusing more on my own self care. I started focusing more on surrounding myself with a community of people who are of a higher vibration, who,
Yeah.
if I was to go into blame or victimhood or what I like to call complaining, then they're like, hey, wait a minute. Are
Yes.
you on that a lower emotional scale? And then that's all I needed to hear, because I built that muscle. And then I would do what? Shift up immediately to gratitude. And I would start emphasizing how happy and grateful I am right now that I'm surrounded by people of a higher vibration that can remind me of that. And I don't take it personal. I don't drop down to that lower part of myself that lives in separation.
So good. So good. I'm so glad that we had you on today. I do have one last question, and that question is centered around consistency and focus for long term results. And so, how can individuals stay consistent and focus on their practice of manifesting for long term results without doing too much futurizing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really, it's, I mean, we're in the era of apps on our phones.
Yes.
I have a mindful app on my phone. I use reminders of staying present. I use reminders of being mindful, really observing the feeling that's going on in me, and asking myself, how am I feeling? And by learning to develop that practice of asking myself how I'm feeling, it causes me to scan my body. I can feel if there's something, that's stuck inside of me. And the more that we do this and the more we stay consistent daily, like I said, the things that we really want begin to show up easier, because we're connected and aligned more with our heart. And really, for me, the biggest thing for myself is every day thanking the God within me for the guidance and the support and the good things in my life. That's where my focus is.
So good. We are actually out of time for our show. So tell our viewers where they can connect with you.
Yeah, so my email address is sherrygideons@gmail.com. And you can also connect with me on my website at sherrygideons.com, and reach out to me. I would love to connect with you. I have some upcoming classes that are really being built around the idea of behavior and how to really shift the hardwired behaviors that don't serve us and step more into our gifts, our talents, our parts of ourselves that we're meant to be here, that we're meant to share with others, and how to focus more on those.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you for that. I look forward to bringing you back on this show because there's so much more that I wanted to talk to you about. I also like to mention my book. I always somewhere in the show. Be successful for life. Elevate your thoughts, words, actions, and your results. You can click that QR code. Click the QR code. You know what I mean when you know what to do when you see a QR code. Let me put it that way. So again, Sherry, thank you. This has been so wonderful. And this show also can be seen and heard with the Spanglish networks, and that is through Spanglish World CA, spanglishworld.ca. Okay, let me get it right. You can read it, you can hear it, you can download it, and you can live it. Again, thank you, Sherry. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay connected